Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Property Talk Life. First of all, I'd like to say happy new month, everybody. This is a new month, and I really hope that the new month brings in blessing, joy, and abundance in everything we put our hands into. So I still remain your host, Mary, as usual, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Tochi, who will be giving us insight and answers to every questions that we have on today's episode. So please introduce yourself one more time to our guests.
Thank you, Mary. My name is Tochi, just like she's rightly said. Thank you, audience, and those who have been supporting and learning. Thank you. Today is going to be a great one, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much for your support so far, guys. So today, without wasting much of our time, because time is fast spent already, we'll be going into our topic which we have for you today, which is the hidden cost of buying property, which nobody tells you about. These are the costs aside the main property price that people encounter, and then they have like issues with them because they were not told from the very beginning that they have to pay those costs. So right today we'll be talking about those costs and how they come about those costs on those properties, why some of them are important and some of the ones that are not even important for you to pay at all. So without further ado, I'll go straight to my first question that I have for the day. So when people budget to buy a property, what major costs do they usually overlook?
Thank you so much. This is very important. And for some of you who are listening to us today, it's what we're saying here is very important and germane to real estate and investors and those homeowners, whether for residential or for commercial purposes. The thing we're dealing with today is very important. People overlook all those things, and at the end of the day, it will cause a lot of problems. So let me start by the quote from Benjamin Franklin. He said, "If you fail to plan, you plan to fail." So the thing that those hidden charges, it's not, most times it's not disclosed, not intentional, because it's the way it is, the industry. So, but yeah, as you're making inquiries, so you're preparing to buy. So there are some hidden charges, not per se hidden, because at the end of the day, they're going to be full disclosure of all charges. So number one is the legal fee. Of course, the legal fee and the lawyers are going to prepare the purchase agreements and all other things. Of course, they are the one that will do the diligence and all that. And then you talk about the survey plan. The survey plan is also very important, and all those things cost money. Of course, to prepare the deed of assignment, the deed between you, the buyer, and also the seller. So those things, and of course, sometimes government fees, you pay to the government some certain fee in order to regularize. If it is an existing plot, maybe you are the second buyer, so there will be need to regularize those documents as well. So deed, survey plan, deed of assignment, legal fee, documentation for all of those things combined. Most times they do not disclose it. They do not give you until when you are ready, to make payment, already that you are good to go. That's when every property managers, lawyers, brokers, and all of that, property companies or property management companies, they will begin to disclose those charges. Sometimes we call it hidden. It's not actually hidden, like I said that in my opening statement. But most times for you, the first buyers, it's always come like a shock because you were not prepared. They say the land is 10 million, you're prepared for 10 million. All of a sudden, there's already charge for the agent's fee or broker's fee, maybe sometimes 5%, sometimes 10%, depending on the kind of property you're buying. So sometimes it's like a shock because we did not plan for it, or the buyers do not plan for it. So at the end of the day, it will look as if it's a hidden charge, but it's not actually a hidden charge as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So as you've heard, most people that are buying property, the only thing they focus on is the purchase price. So they always forget that there are additional costs, although those are for those that have bought a property before, those that have been buying property. But as a first-time buyer, it's necessary that you know that aside the main charge of the property, that's the normal price in which they use to advertise that property or market the property for you. There are other charges that you have to make, that you have to know of, and then you have to pay for
Yes.
as well, just to secure that property and make sure that it's in a safe condition. So
Correct.
moving on to our second question. So can you please explain the legal and documentation costs that many buyers don't expect?
Yes, the one number one of that legal and it's what we call deeds, and of course sometimes governor's consent from the government, depending on the type of property you're buying. For example, if the property that has certificate of occupancy (CFO), so what you're going to get if you're buying, you are the second buyer. So you're acquiring a property that has already an existing CFO, so you are going to get governor's consent. So in order to get governor's consent, the lawyer will have to apply to the government. The government will now be able to give them, do the verification to ensure that the land does not have any encumbrance, does not have any issues that will hinder the transaction. And then government consent fee. There's also fee charged by the government, depending on the state or location where you are. So there's always some charges coming from the government that of that particularly location. So there's also commission from the broker or the agent who was able to get you that piece of property. So in all of those things, these things are additional charges, and then the need for you to make sure that the title document is verified is the lawyer. The lawyer has to charge for that service. Okay, so the surveyor, that also, these are significant people that are very important to make sure that at the end of the day you have a very clean property, so that you will be able to you will either build or live, or you rent out, and there will be no issue in the future, because we're talking about an asset here, and that asset has to be legally documented. Government has to be aware. That's why it's called governor's consent. So the governor of that state, for example, we're using the example in Nigeria, we have to consent to that transaction. So once the governor signed and consent to that transaction, so it becomes a legal document that the state is aware that you are the rightful owner of this property. So nobody can come tomorrow to take away your property, because the government is aware, and they have done, every government, the land registry in different locations, they have documents of information of every land that is within that location. So when you come, they will look at it that the land does not have any future plan from the government, and then they do that's what we call a search, verification search, and then make sure that there's nobody or no issue, like I said in my opening statement, no encumbrance regarding that property. So that is the work of that legal side of property purchase and all that.
Thank you very much for that explanation.
Yes.
So as you've heard, the legal and documentation includes several fees, like the agent fee,
Yes.
the survey plan, solicitor's fee, title verification, registration, and all of that.
Yes.
So these costs are very, very essential to make sure that you secure full ownership of whatever property that you're buying.
Yes.
But it's just that these fees are often underestimated. People see them as nothing. They just see them as extra charges, but they don't know that those are like the real work behind that property that you're buying. Exactly. So moving on to our third question. What government-related charges surprises buyer the most? Because we have so many actually. So what's that one that whenever they are told that they are going to pay this particular type of charge, they are like surprised, and sometimes they are wondering that why should they even be paying for it?
Okay, so there are some charges that are very important from government. The number one is the stamp duty, and of course, there's another one they call it, about two fees anyway that the government land development charge. There's also land development charge from government. Those two fees are very important to the government. So whether you in order to make sure that there is no confusion of who owns what or what property in any location. So the government do that stamp duty. It's part of the levy to development levy that are imposed or are charged from government in order to make sure that each person who acquires such piece of asset, whether in the future, whether now or anytime, you will not have an issue from that. And don't forget, just like Louis Glickman said, that the best investment on earth is the earth. So whatever you are investing, this thing is something that will have decades. So nobody will come to encroach on your land because government is aware, and we also paid some certain fees to the government. So in doing that, there is the legal ownership of that piece of property is not in contention because the government has your information, and they also have proof by complying with some of those charges. So it is an obligation, and it is mandatory that each property owner comply with the fees so that there won't be no issue in the future of who owns this or that property in a certain location. So these are very important. And don't forget, the more you do all of those things, the more the property appreciates. Because whoever you want to resell that property, the new buyer or potential buyer will like to know what are the documents that is showing that you are the rightful owner of such a property. So that's why it is always good to document your property and make sure you follow the right documentation and get all the right legal documents so that anytime you want to sell, it will also help the cause. Because if any property does not have, maybe has deeds of assignment and does not, maybe survey plan, as in most cases, and does not have CFO, for anybody with the same location that have CFO, have all the legal documents from the government, pays all the dues, and the developmental levy pays for the stamp duty and all that are done in that property. And then you want to sell, you are not going to sell the same price, even if it costs 10 million, but because of the other person has all documents are in place, it's going to be like 15 million or 20 million. Because by the time and the money the owner of that property have spent to make sure that all the documentations are in place, you that have not done your own cannot be expecting to sell at the same price. So it also helps to increase the value of any property once the documents are registered with the government and all the payments are done annually. Majority of those payments are done annually. So it's very important that buyers or those that are listening to us or those who want to buy or invest in real estate pay attention to this, because it's going to help you as you grow or in the real estate sector. So you're going to grow and enjoy it, because anything that has to do with property, land, house, or whatever, whether commercial or residential, is the title that is inside or locked in with that property is what the buyers are more interested on, so that they will not buy liability. They are buying asset. They are not buying case or problem that will surface in the future. So that's why the due diligence, those documentations are very important, so that you buy a peace of mind at the same time.
Thank you very much, sir. So, like you read, especially for first-time buyers, they are the ones that these fees usually come to as a shock.
Yes.
Those that have been buying property, they know well about all these charges and what to do, how to make payment, and then go about them.
Yes.
The thing is, if you are buying a property from someone, you expect some documentations that certify those property as legal and safe to buy.
Yes.
So you should know that if you're getting those documentations that you're receiving, they do not come for free.
Yes.
And they are not coming just because you pay for the property.
Yes.
So when you're buying that property that someone already has, you should know that there are some maintenance fee that you have to pay.
Yes.
To retain those documents, and then to make sure that it's secured in your own name, so that you don't have issue in the future.
Yes.
So, and these fees usually vary by states, as our co-host has said.
Yes.
It varies by the state and then the property type, the location type, and all.
Yes.
But failing to pay them can affect resale, because if you buy those property without making proper documentation, when you're about to resell the property in the future, you might
Yes.
even sell below the amounts that you bought it. because you do not have the right documentation to back as a backup to back up that property.
Yes.
And then to have like a legal ownership to satisfy that yes, you bought that property in good faith.
Exactly.
So you need, these fees are compulsory. They are very, very compulsory, and they are often not underestimated. So moving on to our fourth question. So what ongoing or post-purchase costs should buyer prepare for?
Yes, but there are some few of them which I will highlight. Sometimes it's what we call infrastructure contribution. So the infrastructure we're talking about is the roads, the drainage, and the rest of them. Sometimes, in some underdeveloped countries, like we talk about, for example, Nigeria, you find out there are some no road network, no drainage, no electricity sometimes. Unfortunately, for some of you guys who are from the developed worlds, like US, Canada, and then Australia, UK, you don't understand that. Every geographical location have their own peculiarities, and that's what we're talking about. So in some countries, for example, you are the one that will prepare the drainage. Those who are living in that community, they're the one that does the drainage. They do the electricity connection of electricity. There's also security levy. So those security levies are either from the community security, or from the estate security. So they are the ones that are in charge of those running of those things. And sometimes it could be maintenance, repairs. Because if you buy a property, acquire a property, maybe land, you might need to clear the land. You might need to fence it out. For some other countries that they do not do fencing, it's a different thing. But in some countries, you fence out your property. That also helps to secure that property from unauthorized entrance or access of that property. So all of those things, from repairs. Sometimes you buy a property, if it is a already built house that you acquired, so you don't know what exactly is inside until you get in. So that will be need for the surveyors, the architects, and the rest of other important people to go through it to check whether the building is in good state, if there is any defects of the property. So they'll be able to correct those things. So repairs and some other recurring levies or charges that comes, annually. So those things, they're not, most times that's why when we talk about land or house that you bought, for example, if you buy a house now where you want to live, some people will call it, yes, it's an asset, but in many cases it's a liability. Liability in the sense that you have to maintain it. You have to repair things, damage things, either toilets, either or some other equipment in the house. So every year you do some repairs. Those repairs cost money. So sometimes when you buy a house or you acquire a building fresh, so you are happy. Then one year you see that building or that property need to be maintained. You need to repaint it. You need also to do some electrical wiring. You need also to the drainage, flooring, cleaning up and tidying up the house, making it look very good. Those things cost money. So when you add up, that's why most times we in the real estate, we advise, if you want to make your purpose is to have return on investment very quick. So to buy your first property, for those who are watching us now, if you want to start real estate and then you want to start making money, your first purchase of property, either house, whether semi-detached or fully detached, or probably a full house, block of flat or whatever, is not to buy luxury house where you live, because you're going to be spending money to maintain it. So what we normally advise is buy a residential house, right? So people will live in that house. So those people will pay you rent, meaning you're having return on investment. Meanwhile, the house itself, the money that comes in, you take part of that money to maintain the house. But if you are living there, a very luxury, big space, you have to maintain that place. You have to clean it. You have to tidy it up. You have to do electrifications. You have to do all kind of things every year. So why not, if you are not stabilized financially, or you have not created a cash flow whereby you have enough money coming to maintain the property? So the best way to start is to buy, rent, and then money comes, cash flow. And then you buy, you keep acquiring more. Money is coming as you invest in those properties. And then from that money that is coming, you also use to maintain that property. And don't forget, apart from maintaining it, it's going to be an equity. You're going to use it as an equity if you want to acquire more properties through the bank financing it. So as you acquire more, the more you have opportunity to buy more properties and invest in more properties, because it's just to start with one. You tie every other subsequent investment from one. So those charges we are talking about, maintenance, repairs, those who live there will take care of it, because there is money, and outside that you still have money. And don't forget, most tenants add value to your property. There are some horrible tenants that will help you to destroy your house, but majority of the tenants will maintain the house, meaning they have increased the value of that asset. And so that what it means is that if you want to sell it, or you want to, another person want to live in, they have helped you to to increase the value by maintaining that property.
Thank you very much, sir, for that explanation.
Yes.
So after purchase, as you read, the post-purchase costs that you should be expecting are things like maintenance costs, service charge, security fees, most important, repairs, property management fees, and sometimes infrastructural contributions. So these fees are very, very important to make sure that the property is properly maintained.
Yes.
And then it's reserved for whoever that is taking it next, because you never can tell if you're selling it next or people are living there.
Yes.
So speaking of that, so these expenses actually affect long-time affordability, especially in estate and service apartments. And like I said, speaking of service apartments, we still have an apartment that is for sale at Lekki Phase 1 at Victoria Crest. Yeah, I think Victoria Crest. So we have just 2 unit slots available for in a high-rise building. It's a service apartment. There is the lifts, swimming pool, and everything. And it's a new building actually. And this apartment is going for just 298 million naira. So if you're like a CEO who wants to who is looking for an apartment for staff, or like a foreigner who needs an apartment to stay here in Nigeria, Lekki Phase 1, because it's close to the VFS office and other areas around. So this property is going for 298 million naira, and we have just 2 slots remaining. We have just 2 units remaining. So if you've been interested, and you should be interested now. So if you're interested in this apartment, please message us. You can send us a DM. Our phone number is in the description in our bio on all of our social media pages. Or you can drop a comment in this comment section of any post in any of our social media pages about this apartment, and then we'll get back to you. Although we have other service apartments, so you can find them on our social media pages. We post them there regularly. So you can message us on any property that you're interested in, or if you know someone that wants such property, you can refer us. And of course, if you're referring somebody, we have a commission for you as a person also. So moving on to our last question for today's session. How can buyer properly plan and protect themselves from hidden property costs? Because we know, as there are legal costs, there are some hidden costs as well that they should not charge a buyer for. So without even mentioning all this costs, what are the plan that a buyer should be prepared for to protect themselves from this hidden costs?
Thank you so much. Just like we said, I used my opening speech. Benjamin Franklin says that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay, so what it means is that once you have made up your mind that you want to start real estate investment, or you want to buy a piece of real estate, so always ask the seller, either developer, that's for those who buy from the real estate developers, or you're buying from individual property owners, always ask for breakdown. it's very important that buyers, if you're listening to us today, ask for breakdown, detailed breakdown of every charge. And of course, if there is any upfront charges that you are not aware or not included, ask those questions. It will help you to be able to know exactly what you are getting into so that it will not be a shock to you. So, and of course, work with a very reliable and professional real estate companies or individual. Work with professionals with proven good track record. So in that way, they will not want to soil their name for a pot of porridge. So they want to protect the name. They want you to continue to come to them for your real estate investment. So if you fail not to plan for anything, if you're not giving information, the informations are not disclosed to you from the beginning, you're likely going to have problem. And that's what we're trying to avoid, or we're trying to make sure you do not get into those problems. That you see your friends, your relatives, or your business partners, they're complaining of, how they bought property and they are in court. It's because they fail to do what we're talking about here. So these things are the myths that we're trying to demystify by talking about it. The more you listen to us, the more you follow us, the more you begin to learn the nitty-gritty of investing in real estate. So by the time you learn all these things, when you are ready to buy, you will not make mistakes that other investors have made. So we are here and encouraging you, make sure you collect the breakdown. Make sure you verify and work with professionals. And also make sure you verify titles of any property that you want to buy. The documents linked to that property. Do your due diligence. Verify. Make sure that you are, whether you are dealing with you are a broker or a real estate company, make sure they do as you are listening to us, as you are watching us. So always those things will help you to ask some sensitive questions. Okay. And that sensitive questions will require answer from your broker or from the real estate agent or from the real estate company or from the developer. Because once they realize you ask them sensitive questions, they will know that you have at least basic knowledge of what you are acquiring. Because this thing is life. Sometimes it's the whole of your saving that you are putting in there, the whole of your income. So you don't want your income to go like that, or to start having cases in court because you fail to do what you're supposed to do at the beginning. So we are here, as my host has said, to guide you, to give you those information. And if you need more, don't hesitate to drop the information.
Yes, drop it in our comment section.
Yes, and we'll be able to.
So as you've heard from Satoshi, those are the things that you need to look out for and then plan for to protect yourself from all these hidden costs. And most importantly, when you're buying any property, if you've been told the price of the property, please ensure to keep a contingency budget of at least 10 to 15% of that price of the property that you want to buy, so that this proper planning would turn into manageable expenses instead of coming as a shock or as a surprise to you. So we hope that with these few questions and answers, we've been able to clear some of your doubts against hidden costs that you may come across when purchasing a property. And thank you very much for joining us in today's session. If you're interested in the property that I mentioned, please do not hesitate to message us, or if you know someone that is going to buy, or you are ready to market for us, we have a commission for you as a marketer. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us on today's session, and we really hope to see you in the next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye for now.